following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. And welcome into Reaction Monday, Main Street Sports. Today, it's a new week. It's a new show. We got with us today Mike Horn, Columbia State Chargers baseball coach, will be joining us. Talk a little Charger baseball and other topics. Also, George Plaster of the George Plaster Show. Well, what else would he be with? He will be joining us as well to talk a little Preds ownership and some other topics. I'm sure that there will be at least one Braves comment or two involved in that gathering as well. Plus, College World Series, yep, full swing. We've got already one team out. A second will be leaving us at some point this afternoon. So we'll talk about that. Chris back from his vacation. We'll get his thoughts on that and so much more. This is Main Street Sports Today. The gang's back together, all in one place. The Hall of Famer Mo Patton on your left in a very colorful, what color would you call that, Mo?
Coral.
Coral? I like it. Salmon was where I was heading, but I think coral is the proper.
It's a little darker than salmon.
It is.
I've been told.
You've been told?
It's coral.
That it's coral?
That's what it
good.
said on the tag.
Yeah. And in a light shade of blue, Chris Yao back from Alabama. The Sundrop Kid has returned. Did you get any Sundrop while you were down there?
I took some with me.
Okay. Can you get Sundrop down there?
No, you cannot.
Well, there you go. You were popular then amongst some others. Welcome home. Welcome back.
Thanks. We stopped. And matter of fact, I stopped in Athens, and we were going to take the first of many bathroom breaks on our trip down due to,
Yes, you're traveling crew.
traveling with a child and a pregnant wife. It's
It's a
bathroom breaks are not very few and far between. The exact opposite of those. So anyway, we stopped in Athens. It's like, man, I really need to get some Sundrop before I get south of here because I won't be able to get any.
You're leaving Sundrop territory, huh?
Yeah, you are. So I made sure to grab some, and I paid like $8 for a 12-pack at a gas station. So, and then brought 4 of them home with me. Yeah, it was,
It was a little unexpected.
It was a little unexpected, but it's okay. We had a lot of fun. It was a great time. Spent a few days down in Panama City Beach and the rest of the time in Montgomery. I haven't spent a week with my grandmother since I was probably like a kid, like in the middle of summer, after school, maybe junior high. I would spend a week or two down there with her. That's the first time I spent a week with her since then, and it was well worth it. So,
well, I was wondering where you were going with that, so I'm glad it was well worth it.
It was one of the most exciting things that I've gotten a chance to do. We put up, I don't know, I'm sure you saw, I know you did. JP doesn't have Facebook, so he didn't see it, but the home video of me playing T-ball, we set up a whole TV and VCR and went through the home videos. So,
Oh, nice.
It was
kind of cool.
It really was. And Sarah had a lot of fun.
Did she learn?
Laughing
Did
at
a
me.
lot of things kind of come into color? Seeing, maybe where you came from and certain things as a child. She says, okay, that's why he's that way.
That explains it.
Yeah.
No, but she did say, "Oh, that's why Charlie does that."
Okay. Oh, okay. I guess she figures you're lost cause at this point, right?
Yeah. No,
just understanding why Charlie may have.
She's like, okay, I feel like I'm watching my child. She's like, I see, this is my kid, just from like 30 years ago.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm just really glad that, my athletic exploits were very few, but I'm really glad that there's no video evidence of any of them. So.
Really? You don't wish that there was something? What was your best sport?
Oh, goodness. Watching.
Look, I'll tell you.
Were you a good teammate like me?
Yeah.
It's funny because I obviously I had she didn't video the whole game. She actually videoed mostly of picture day for whatever reason. But the one at bat she did video was me getting to second base on a double, which was probably a single with an error
A T-ball double, huh? Yeah.
There was probably an error or two in the outfield, I'm sure. Or some kid,
Scorebooks for T-ball is a little different than every other.
or some kid was just kicking grass.
Picking dandelions. Yeah, just
Exactly.
oh, there's a ball. I guess I better go get it. Yeah.
Who knows? But and then the little snag at third base over there that I had, that was kind of nice. But that's all she got of it, so I'll take it. And then there's a play from my 8th grade year on video where I make a diving catch at second base and throw the guy out at first because he thought there was no way I was getting to the ball, and didn't let the line drive get through. And I made so there are a couple of little things that are on video that I can say, see, I wasn't like, useless. I wasn't great, but I wasn't useless all the time. So there you go. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Had a great time. We'll talk a little bit more about it because I have a fantastic story from our one night out. Oh boy, it was fun. Yeah. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for halftime. Mo,
Chris,
you started off last Monday with NASCAR, which gave my dad a near heart attack from laughing so hard.
well, that's what he gets. I'm diverse, man.
The-
I'm diverse.
Unexpected. And
JP, was it not newsworthy?
It was newsworthy. It's,
I'm a journalist.
but it was,
I know a little something.
the timing, and I don't know, Mo, I never asked you this, if that went through your mind as you were typing that into the run of show,
What's that?
that it's, the first show without Chris of the week, and here you are, just the irony that it was a NASCAR
that's the thing
story.
is I just think it was just so unexpected. Like, of all
I-
the things, there's no way that's going to be it. And yet here
Did
we
that
are.
cross your mind at all?
No, not at all.
I didn't think it did. Which is to your point.
I'm a journalist.
You're a journalist.
I understand. I just think it's
just
hilarious.
strictly
What would have been
coincidence.
your top
Oh,
story?
I have no idea. I wasn't. Listen, when I left here on Friday,
You didn't think
I
about it.
didn't.
Good for you.
Nothing.
That's awesome.
But to that point, our top story today, the first touch is going to be pretty darn unexpected for this show.
This is the first touch, if I'm not mistaken.
And it
is that
might
correct?
be the last first touch.
So
Go ahead.
we're doing all the new stuff right now. It's summertime, right? Nashville Soccer Club loses its first home match in 25 tries over however many different
Iterations.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah.
The first home match that they lose it to a team that had not won a road match all season, by the way. It was
Well,
their
if you're going to
first
lose
road-
at home, that's the way to do it, right?
That's kind of like losing a 14-game winning streak by ending someone else's 10-game losing
Heading in
streak.
that right direction. I knew when Mo put that as a subhead, and then of course I doubled down and put it right on the graphics on the show. I knew that it would happen that night or that day.
It was brutal.
Fantastic.
It was.
And not only did Nashville Soccer Club lose their first home match, but Nashville, the city, is one of like 4 cities who doesn't get a World Cup match. There's like 37 cities, 4 don't get it, and Nashville's one of them.
Well,
So, yeah. Nashville not having a good weekend in the soccer department. It's not good.
it's not good, and it's a little bit of a hit for the city.
It is.
Since neither of you played soccer, I did.
Oh.
That's like when you're playing defender and somebody has come charging at you and you try to stand there, if you stand on that wall for a direct kick and they kick it right in the middle of your body. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I think, this day for Nashville was with the loss and then not getting the World Cup site.
Well,
There you go.
I played soccer 1 year. My dad was the coach, and all his coaching expertise ended with spread out.
Hey, that's good.
It's important in
It is
soccer
very
to not,
important.
jumble up when
Yeah.
we're 8-year-olds, right? Because we all just want the ball.
The biggest thing with those little ones, yeah.
It's just-
I figured he was just taking his cue from Mo of The Three Stooges? Spread out.
That's all. He just played that over and over. But yeah, so that's all I know about soccer. I couldn't tell you. I just know that it's not good when there are only 4 cities who don't get a bid, and you're one of the 4.
Well, there was more than 4, but I mean 4 that tried.
Yes.
and didn't. Yeah.
So anyway,
Better luck next time.
I'm curious though. One on this topic, do you think Nashville's getting everything else? Do you think they were like, I mean, what's
it's the stadium?
Yeah, it's a stadium.
It's just all about the stadium.
Yeah.
It's a stadium.
Nissan is that outdated compared to all the other ones?
It's going to
I
be
think
here
it was
in
a question
26,
of whether
there would be one.
yeah.
Correct.
It would be ready. Okay.
Correct. That was the question.
I could deal with that.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's 100%
Strictly a
that's all it
logistical
was.
issue
Yes.
because the primary
Mhm.
tenant is hoping to upgrade. So
Yeah.
And you don't know if you're going to have natural grass in that facility. Probably
Makes
not
sense.
going to have natural grass in that facility. On top of that, you've got a stadium that's not in great shape as it is,
that's true.
which is why we need a new stadium. And on top, and then in 2026, who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah,
That makes sense.
it 100% a stadium issue, but nonetheless, it's still a hit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think by the time it comes around again, Nashville will be in the mix.
if there's a natural grass facility,
They won't play on artificial turf? Is that it?
not in the World Cup.
Really?
I don't think so.
I don't know the rules on that.
Well,
Look-
Atlanta got it.
Who?
Atlanta?
Are they playing in the
That I don't know.
Mercedes-Benz?
I don't know if they're in the dome, but if they are, then I guess
where
that
else would they be?
answer that question.
Yeah, that's
that's
Now, I mean, all these places you can install a natural grass surface
they
for
could play
a
at Turner
short-
Field. I mean, Georgia State, whatever
Yeah.
it's called, but they could
Yeah.
play
Mhm.
there.
I bet they put if that is indeed a prerequisite, then they can put a natural grass surface down
Surface,
for the World Cup.
Yeah,
I mean, they're going to
it's
have
the
a
World
couple.
Cup,
They're only going to have a couple of matches.
maybe. Yeah. So you could conceivably pull
Easily.
the turf up, put a
Yeah.
natural grass. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, just sod it.
exactly.
You sod it right in for that. Yeah, it can be done.
All right. Well, we've well run past our first break.
well, and not only that, but we've talked way more soccer than anyone should reasonably expect to hear on this show.
Less soccer, more logistics, but yes, that it is anything pertaining to soccer. We shouldn't have. We are not the authority on this. I assure you.
Oh yeah, yeah. If this is where you're coming for your soccer info,
Got bad news for you. I've also got some land in Arizona. It's on the beach that I need to talk to you about.
Oceanfront property.
Oceanfront property,
it
baby.
isn't natural grass.
No.
Ah.
We got to get to Mike Korn, who is joining us after this first break. We'll get the rundown as well a little bit later in this first half. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today is presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm happy to be back with you guys. Stick with us. We'll be back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones and Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones and Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck, yes. That'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton and JP Plant. Back at you from Columbia. Although, like I told you, Mo, the show looked really good last week. And then your contraption came in the mail.
Yeah, they both did. They were here last week. I think
exciting.
they came either over the weekend or first thing Monday morning, mine and JP's contraptions. So
now we should be in good shape now. Should be fun. Looking forward to talking a little College World Series through the rest of this first half, because Auburn and Stanford currently playing right now. Auburn, who fell earlier this weekend to Ole Miss 5-1. They're in an elimination game right now, trailing Stanford 2-0. Ole Miss set to play later this evening, Mo. And along with Ole Miss and that Rebels team, who is pretty hot right now, will be a former Columbia State standout. And that's exciting because we don't have a whole lot of direct connections to the College World Series, and this is one. And to talk about it, we have Columbia State head baseball coach Mike Korn. Coach, thanks for taking some time with us. How are you?
Hey, man. Hey, no problem. Hey, appreciate you having me on. And anytime you get to talk about local players moving on and playing in the big time, so to speak, it's fun. And you guys do a great job, and appreciate what you do.
Well, we appreciate you taking some time with us, Mike, like we said. And yeah, these kids come through here, and typically they're not here for very long. In your case, maybe this last few years you've had them around a little longer than usual. But Bradon Johnson came through here, and I think part of the time he was here was COVID related, so we didn't get a whole lot of chance to necessarily see him. But he did. I do recall him winning a NJCAA National Pitcher of the Week award one week while he was here, and then next thing you know, he's pitching in the SEC at Ole Miss, and currently is pretty well entrenched as Ole Miss's closer. 11 saves, 11 of their 17 saves on the season. So clearly the leader in the back end of that bullpen. 22 appearances on the year, which is a team high. It's got to be fun for you and your assistants to see a guy that you worked with on this big stage like this.
Yeah, Mo, absolutely. I'm so happy for the young man. He was, and you hear coaches speak to this, but he was just one of those young men who really got after it. His work ethic was second to none on the pitching side. You see position players these days that have that everyday mentality, that they stay what we call checked in, and pitchers sometimes the way they're conditioned coming up with so many young men being pitcher, what we call POs or pitcher only, and they're guns for hire in summer ball. They pitch for this team on this weekend and that team for another weekend, and sometimes they're conditioned to be part-time players. And Bradon just wasn't one of those guys. I mean, he was just he brought it every day and had a tremendous work ethic and was out of the bullpen for us his first year. Had a nice arm, and in that second COVID year, shortened year, he was really going to be our ace. So to see him transform into a back-end guy, which that's his mentality. He's a high-energy, anyone's seen that young man pitch. He's a fist-pumping, let's-go type of guy, but his energy level fits that role, and glad to see him having success for the Rebels.
So you're not surprised to see him in that closer role then?
No, not at all. And it's a closer role sometimes is more about mentality than it is stuff, and just having that confidence to pitch in those tight games and in those situations with the game on the line. That comes down to mentality and heart, intestinal fortitude, whatever word you want to attach to it. But he had it, and he was a competitor, a true competitor, and I can see why he's doing well.
66 strikeouts in 39 and 2/3. That 66 is third most on that staff, and again the most out of the relief corps for Ole Miss, which plays Arkansas at 7 tonight. A matchup that I'd imagine they're familiar with. I would assume that they played earlier this year as SEC West rivals.
Arkansas won 2 of 3.
Okay. Did not see Bradon Saturday night in that 5-1 win over Auburn. Were you watching? Are you trying to keep up? Are you carving out time for this, Mike, or how does that go as a former coach?
Yeah, Mo, usually what we do is we try to in the regular season we'd have them pulled up here in the locker room on that whatever app or whatever those guys have. I don't know. It's just on the television. You know, those young guys know how to get all that, and whatever ESPN subscription that I'm paying for, we watch it. It has all those games on, so we have a chance to watch. We watch, and then a lot of times we follow on the game changer, and if Bradon does come in to pitch, we'll all be pulling it up. So it is good, and several of our young men were in Division I competing at that level this year. Mitch Smith was an all-conference guy over there at UNC Greensboro, and you know it's just fun for us to watch these young men, and that's one of the joys of coaching junior college baseball, because you really get to see whether they're playing down at UT Southern or Trevecca or Ole Miss. You get to see these guys go on and play 2 more years at least, and where sometimes at that 4-year level, that's only a very few of them get to go on.
And I guess, Mike, when they're at this big stage at Omaha, you guys had Will Dalton down there with Florida, or over there with Florida back in 2018. I would imagine that's got to be, you know, obviously it's the peak of college baseball, and to have one of your guys there specifically, it's got to be a pretty big deal.
Oh, absolutely. We that's why we do this, is to see these young men move on and reach some of the dreams. And I think every young man or woman that play that spend or invest their time into athletics, you know, they have these dreams of playing in certain arenas or certain tournaments, and for us baseball guys, us collegiate baseball guys, Omaha is the pinnacle. Even though here in junior college we play in Grand Junction, and in my mind that's big, but Omaha, when you say Omaha, most sports fans know what you're talking about. And to have Bradon out there and competing after really having a rough year as a team in kind of the big picture, and you guys know this and may have even already debated this, Ole Miss was one of the first 4 or 5 teams out on most people's bracket going into the regional, and let them in there, and you know, now they are. So here they are. Have a big mountain to climb this afternoon, but here they are having a chance to play in Omaha.
Columbia State baseball coach Mike Korn joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Coach, you know, Mo mentioned Will Dalton and now Bradon Johnson, and is there a way for you as a recruiter to leverage the fact that you've got guys who have been to the pinnacle of college baseball and use that to help get some big time guys to your campus and say, look, you can go JUCO, you don't have to go D1.
Right. Well, of course, you use those types of things in the recruiting process. I think everyone does. Your player success and most programs will have a sheet or some type of slideshow that will highlight these young men who went on. You know, we still have Riley Delgado playing AA in the Braves organization, and at one time there in the Southern League, he had 15 game hitting streak or something. He was the longest hitting streak in the league up to that point. And you talk about these things, and we can compare players to those guys who have been on and been really successful. And it's not something that I put on a billboard and flashing lights around it, but I say, hey man, this is the skill set that you have. You remind me of this guy, and it's not a dog and pony show or used car. I say it and I mean it, or we say it and we mean it. And but it's good to have those things to talk about. Success breeds success in a lot of organizations or a lot of arenas in this life of ours.
Mike, Chris mentioned recruiting. We spoke with you a couple of summers ago in the midst of the pandemic at its peak, I guess, and some things were going on as far as eligibility and that kind of thing that kind of created a little bit of a log jam, a little bit of a bottleneck in terms of kids getting to levels and staying there, not necessarily coming out. Are you seeing that lessen, or is that still a concern in terms of trying to bring younger guys in when guys aren't necessarily going out?
It is. I think we're going to have one more year of it, one more year of the log jam. I do think I see some light at the end of the tunnel, and it's because several things, and not all of them are good. Sometimes these first-year guys or second-year guys can find a place to move on, but some young men are just quitting. I mean, I think some of those average players maybe are not finding a place to get in the mix. And so you have a few less young men coming out of high school deciding to play, or if you look at it from the other side, a few more, just not able to make it, whether they decided to or not. But so that lessened the numbers coming in just a bit. But one more year, Mo, I think will be it, and then we'll get back to a more normal flow of recruiting. But then you have the NCAA free-for-all transfer portal, which is a whole conversation for a whole nother day. That's also keeping that water turbulent with players 50, 60, 70, 100 a day, just saying, well, hey, I'm going somewhere else. So there's a ton of movement, and it's a different time of recruiting for sure.
Any NIL deals out on Casey Lane, Mike?
Well, I tell you what, some of the things I'm hearing, Mo, are scaring me. And you're looking at a scenario. Even I heard of one of the schools here in our state dropping a pretty big number on a young man, and I think it's going to be one of those things. We want what's best for the kids, and you can argue their amateurism, all you want. There's good and bad for both, but I'm just not sure there's enough vision in I'm not going to say the NCAA, but when all this started going down, I'm not sure we could see all the pitfalls and all the challenges that it's going to create. But when you can use your 11.7 to scholarship your players and then use your pot of $750,000 for your NIL money for your better players, it's a different animal. It's a different animal.
I was thinking about that earlier, and I thought I'm not sure how it can work at the junior college level, but there certainly are ways to make it happen. And if if there's somebody out there who really supports a junior college program, who knows? It's
You're
coming.
right there. That's what it would take. It's not going to come from the school,
Sure.
like where your bigger universities, and even when you're looking at some of your smaller, say your mid-major D1s, it's going to come from a donor. They're going to be able to fund that athletic program privately to allow that NLI money to be distributed. And I don't know all the ins and outs of how or where the money can come from, but the smaller schools aren't going to be able to generate it from enrollment or from ticket sales or things like that. So if you find a smaller school that can do it, they would certainly have an advantage.
There you go. Mike Korn, baseball coach at Columbia State Community College here in Murray County. Coach, thanks so much for taking some time with us today. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for all you do.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll get the rundown on the other side, and we'll talk about,
Auburn's bad base running.
Everything that Auburn has done in this inning. Very bad. We'll talk about it.
It's muy mal.
And more Omaha after this on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
This is the Rundown.
Let's do it.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy, providing a Christ-centered college prep education at an affordable cost. Call 931-388-5731 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule an appointment for a tour today. All right, let's get into our rundown on this Monday. The Cubs over the Braves Friday, 1-0. Oh, yes, that was the one that broke both streaks. Brewers 5-4 over the Reds. Red Sox 6-5 over the Cardinals. Saturdays, Cubs did it again, 6-3. Brewers 7-3 over the Reds. Cardinals 11-2 over the Red Sox. And on Sunday, the Braves get one back out at Wrigley, 6-0, shutting out the Cubbies. Brewers 6-3 over the Reds, and the Red Sox 6-3 over St. Louis. Sounds over the weekend, they took 2 of 3 Friday and Saturday, winners over Memphis, and fell on Sunday 7-6, the final there. American Legion Baseball, Post 19, they get a win over Post 70 out of Troy. 8-6.
There's a lot of numbers in this one.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, that's all right. They were down at a Father's Day tournament and fell to Rockdale, Georgia. Took on Troy again, lost game 2 of that one, and then defeated Tallahassee 3-2. So, 2-2?
2-2.
2-2. There we go.
4-4 on the year.
How about that math? Look at the math. 2-2. College World Series, the MCWS, that's the Men's College World Series. Arkansas, call them Hogs, the Omahogs, were in full throttle, or throat, I guess, calling the Hogs. 17-2 over Stanford. Ole Miss 5-1 over Auburn. Both of those games were Friday. Is that right? Saturday?
Saturday.
Those two were on Saturday.
Okay, those two were on Saturday. Texas A&M 10-2 over Texas, an elimination game yesterday, and boy, the Aggies loved putting the Longhorns out.
I bet they did.
Oklahoma 6-2 over Notre Dame. That was a winner's bracket game, so Oklahoma now 2-0 in the College World Series. Notre Dame will take on Texas A&M in an elimination game. NHL, the Avalanche, just like an avalanche over the Lightning, 7-0 in Game 2. They lead that best-of-7 series 2-0 as it shifts back down to Tampa Bay for Game 3 coming up. Nashville, as we mentioned at the top of the show, falls to Kansas City 2-1. First home loss in 25 games outright.
25 tries. Yep.
25 tries. Schedule for today, Cubs and the Pirates tonight, 6:05. Giants are in Hotlanta, take on the Braves, 6:20 on Bally Sports Southeast.
The return of Jock Peterson.
Ooh.
Started to wear my beats.
Return of the Jock.
Is he still wearing the beats?
No, he's not wearing
That was a Braves thing, right?
Braves thing.
Yeah, okay, good.
Ronald and Ozzy wear the gold.
Yeah, that was a Braves thing. Okay, good. Good. Glad to leave it there with that. Maybe he'll come back at the trade deadline. Who knows? The Cardinals are in Milwaukee, take on the Brewers tonight on FS1. College World Series elimination game happening right now. Stanford and Auburn update. You guys are watching it.
Yeah,
2-0 Stanford, bottom of 5.
Okay.
for now.
Stanford is the home team.
Gotcha. All right. Winners bracket final tonight. Arkansas and Ole Miss, 6 o'clock on the mothership. And Stanley Cup final game 3 is tonight, right? Yeah, it is tonight. 7 o'clock Central. Colorado at Tampa Bay. It is on ABC again. The Avs lead the series 2-0 in the best-of-7 Stanley Cup final. That is your Monday Rundown. It is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy.
Yes, we are, in fact, watching this Stanford and Auburn game right now. Auburn, just as dominant as they were in the regional and super regionals, they look a little lost right now against this number 2 seed Stanford Cardinal team. In the top of the 5th inning, Mo, runners on first and second, nobody out, and they fail to score because of poor small ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're not used to playing small ball, if you're not committed to playing small ball, then it kind of shows up. Like you said, during the break, a bunt too hard, back to the pitcher, and shown too late.
Yeah,
maybe to not get the defensive movement that you wanted to try to get in that situation. Winds up going 1-5 for the put out there, and then I don't know how the next out came about.
I'm not sure.
The inning ended on a rundown, with runners first and third. They tried a double steal and could not convert. So
try to double steal. The shortstop cuts the ball off behind the pitching rubber and throws home, and boom, you're in two. You're in at least one run down. Technically you were in 2 because he had stopped to go back to first.
Yeah,
just poor base running there. So Auburn's struggling, but still only down 2-0. So I guess that's a positive. If
Oh,
you're,
yeah. I mean, if you can keep it there, then you got a shot. But you really need a shutdown inning right here. Stanford with a runner at 3rd and 2 outs. And we can't do much more than that.
No, not without the express written consent.
But
yeah, but this Auburn team, was not a team that I expected to come in and lose to Ole Miss. I thought Auburn was Ole Miss was also pretty dominant in their region, and then going to Southern Miss to get the berth to the College World Series. Ole Miss a 5-1 winner over Auburn. I didn't necessarily expect to see that, and certainly did not expect to see 17-2 for Arkansas. And Auburn gets out of it without any runs scored.
much needed. Like I said, a shutdown inning right there was big for them, I think, after the top of the 5th went the way that it did for Auburn. So they're in it again.
They are.
Just got to tighten some things up. But yeah, Arkansas, they may be the team to beat here.
Which is really unfortunate because, if there was any fan base who was as vocal about Tennessee's loss, it was Arkansas. So if you're a Tennessee fan, you're probably not looking. I mean, Arkansas fans were far more vocal than anyone else, including Vanderbilt fans, but it's because they didn't play.
I was going to say, you're just going to totally discount the fact that Vanderbilt fans may have rejoiced in.
But they didn't. They were 0-4. Doesn't leave you much room to talk.
No, you're right.
And but that's where Arkansas had the ability because
they didn't play.
They didn't play and they didn't lose to Tennessee.
You can't say
still beat
you as a UT fan. Hey, we took care of you though, right? So shut up, because they didn't play. And I think as an SEC baseball fan, that was really the series that you wanted to see.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was what everybody was hoping for.
And the SEC schedule has an uncanny ability to not give you those matchups, no matter how the season is progressing and who the hot teams are. I think there was a couple of years ago when Arkansas and Vanderbilt didn't play, and they were probably the 2 top teams in the conference. It's just funny the way that tends to work out.
And they were opposite one another in the tournament.
And one of them didn't get there.
Arkansas not getting there, you go, man, that would have been, could you imagine Sunday if had it been Arkansas, Tennessee, and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's unfortunate that we're not going to see it. Arkansas looked really good. 75% of this bracket being either current or future SEC members took Greg Sankey up there. Typically, he just switched to the championship series.
No, he's camped out.
He's been there since the beginning this week, and so it's, it just means more.
Clearly.
And boy, if Auburn could pull this off, and then Texas A&M, and all you've got left is SEC teams, technically, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
The thought that I've had about Tennessee is how polarizing they are. You either really, really like them or you really, really don't. You would find out how many people really, really don't like the SEC if you got to that point.
Speaking of, a lot of Tennessee orange at Charles Schwab Field.
Well, bought the tickets, might as well go.
I agree. I'm just saying. A lot of folks were surprised at the number of Tennessee fans who were in attendance.
I will say this before we go to break, though. Even as a Vanderbilt fan, the College World Series would have been a lot better
with
for the game with Tennessee in it.
A game.
No,
they would have played two.
For the game.
For the game in itself. For the game of college baseball. Yeah, it would have been better if Tennessee and that fan base and everything that comes with that would have been better for baseball.
Don't tell Notre Dame that.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to it, and again, I listened to a radio host who said that Tennessee was not good for the game of college baseball because it didn't bring any additional fans. All it did was make the fans who were already there hate them. No. And I'm like, you're an idiot, because I haven't watched a college baseball game in 17 years until this year.
Patriots, Alabama, the Raiders. You got to have teams that people don't like.
to have a villain.
You need a villain every now and then.
Tennessee
And
played the
Tennessee was
part.
all too happy to put the black hat on.
Well, they even made
And it even said
T-shirts.
Daddy on it.
They even made T-shirts that said villain.
Yeah, they wanted it.
Talk about relishing.
But you'll have to tell me off the air who that radio show host was.
I'll have to look it up, but I will. All right, let's come back after this halftime. Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
The city famous for its music is quiet now, but it's about to be overwhelmed by the symphony of speed. Nashville Superspeedway will be rocking from the pit to the grandstand. June 24th through 26th, the Ally 400 NASCAR Cup Series race weekend brings a mix of incredible racing and live entertainment. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com today and join the full throttle fun.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back in. Main Street Sports Day presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Guys, went out just one time this past week to a little, I went two places. One, I went to sing karaoke at a place where they still let you smoke inside. Didn't know that when I got there.
That helps with the voice, though, karaoke.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
I guess if you're not used to it, it doesn't.
Certainly
Right.
doesn't help with the clothes after you leave.
No, it doesn't help with that.
I didn't have any trouble with it because I still have no smell, or at least very little.
Wow.
Two things to take away. One, I may have overdone it with trying to sing stuff that was a little
Off key? Out of key?
no, it's my normal songs, but they're my big songs, right? Like they strained my voice, and with the smoke, it wasn't a great idea. But I had
You swung for the fences off.
because I knew I was only going to be there for like an hour and a half, so I was like, I'm going to get these two out of the way because I mean, hey, why go up there and try to single when you can hit a home run? And then I struck out on the second one. The first one was okay.
Swing hard in case you hit it and you didn't, right?
Well, the first one I was all right. The second one, not so much. But I had 5 cocktails. 5 on my ticket.
Okay.
$18.
Hey,
$18.
could you stomach the cocktails? Were they? I mean,
Fireball and
taste
Dr.
okay?
Pepper.
Okay. All right. That's not bad.
It's my go-to with singing karaoke.
Singing. Okay.
We went to another place and went to go see some friends of mine who were playing. Guy walks in to this bar. He owns another bar in town. He walks in with his girlfriend, who is straight out of
Careful.
a Confederate Railroad song. Yeah. So
That's a deep cut right there.
here's the thing. He walks in and grabs a drink, raises his glass, and says, "Here's to our wives and our girlfriends. May they never meet." Except
Well, there's more.
his wife was there
And his girlfriend
at the
was there?
bar that he just walked into with his girlfriend, and they took the shots together. The backstory is they're getting a divorce. Memorial Day weekend, they both got arrested because they were fighting in their front yard, and it was a whole ordeal. But
Apparently, they've made up since then.
they're at least on speaking terms, or at least drinking terms.
Drinking terms. Yeah, because there's a difference.
There is, in fact, a difference. And so I thought that was interesting.
You thought that was interesting?
And so the next day, my friend posts and says, "Hey, you shouldn't have left so early. Things got really crazy after you left." And the guy comments and goes, "Did I miss the show, or was I the show?" And I'm like, the self-awareness, my friend. It actually wasn't him.
If you gotta ask,
It's probably you, yeah.
He was part of the show but he was not the part they were referring to. but the self-awareness on the guy, got to give him props.
100%. Yeah. It's like that where they say, look to the left of you, look to the right of you. If one of those two guys hasn't been to jail, it's probably
It's you.
Yeah. So.
Let's take a quick break. We'll talk about the Braves on the other side. Stick around. Main Street Sports Today presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Oh boy, we made it to a second half here on Main Street Sports Today Reaction Monday. We'll be joined by the one and only George Plaster coming up in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. He'll have a very personal take on what the Preds are doing with the ownership and other things going on there. Also, we've got, let's see, what do we got? Oh, yeah, the Stanley Cup Final. We'll talk a little bit of that and other things as well. Our Daily Braves set, we want to get right into that. Once again, the Hall of Famer in his coral shirt. Mo Patton and the Sundrop Kid, back from Alabama, survived going out and karaoke, always a thrill. And keeping tabs, by the way, on Stanford Auburn. We'll keep you up to date on that as well. Gentlemen, second half. Welcome back.
Auburn in the top of the 6th. Bases loaded, 1 out. Infield fly rule in effect. If you are if you are keeping score at home or umpiring at home. Mo, the Atlanta Braves streak ended finally, and so did the Chicago Cubs, unfortunately.
No, that wasn't a streak, as we were advised last week. That was a skid. Because when you're losing,
that's right.
Yeah,
you're skidding.
You're skidding. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's tough to end your 14-game win streak by ending a 10-game losing skid.
It's a little tough to take, but I mean, it was a 1-0 ball game. Charlie Morton probably had his best start of the year, and we just couldn't score. I mean, the wind was blowing in, which is always something that you may have to deal with when you go to Wrigley. And, for all the home runs that we hit over the course of that streak, you couldn't get one through that wind and hit some balls hard.
Had a couple that would have been out just about
anywhere else. Yeah.
At any other time.
Except Yellowstone, yeah. But it just, the first 2 games just weren't the Braves' day. It's frustrating. But when it's against a team that has not had any more success than the Cubs had to that point. But again, they drive Mercedes too.
But the positive is you got good stuff out of Charlie Morton.
Mm-hmm.
So you hope that's, maybe he's coming around a little bit. We talked about that early in the year with Ian Anderson, how he struggled a little bit to start. And then once he kind of got his footing,
6 2/3 yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, Ian Anderson is now, keeping you alive. Spencer Strider's pitching really well. Obviously, Kyle Wright has done everything Kyle Wright can do. He struggled a little bit, but
and Mike Soroka is coming.
He's on the other side.
Yeah. So
you got to feel good about where you are if you're the Braves right now. They're 14-2 in the month of June. Got the Giants coming in at home, so you at least get that.
I think the number I heard was they played 29 games against non-winning teams, and they went 21-8.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Ooh. Yeah, that is what you're supposed to. If you can win 2/3
out of 4
or 3/4 of those games, you've done exactly what you're supposed to. And that's exactly what they did. They won 3 or 4.
Yeah. So
good. You have to be happy with them taking care of business. As we talked about before this month started, we said you got to take care of these teams, and they have. So I'm not struggling.
The Mets know they're there.
The Mets, and here's the thing: is you say what you want to, but the "here we go again" mentality is real, and it's a problem if you're the team that always has to think, "Here we go again." At some point, you break it, but I don't.
Until you do, you don't.
It's tough. It's tough to get through the "here we go again." So
ask any UT fan.
No kidding.
San Francisco tonight, 6:30. It's the first of a 7-game homestand, 4 against the Giants, 3 this weekend against the Dodgers, who will be without Mookie Betts.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Which is a double-edged sword for us because clearly I saw him play in high school. I'm probably as big a Mookie Betts fan as I can be of anybody who doesn't play for Atlanta, but at the same time, you're either with us or you're against us. So
well, and the Stripers are in town this week. They're in town starting tomorrow night against the Nashville Sound. So a lot of Braves flavor going on this week, and including Drew Waters, who will be in town. And one of the questions I had, and this is a deep discussion that we have no time to get into, but just ponder this for a moment, and maybe we ask George if we have some time. Is Drew Waters trade bait at this point?
Absolutely.
Can you play him in left?
You could play him in left, but right now, I mean, you've got Duvall. Are you talking about for this year?
I'm talking about next year, next couple of years. Is he the left fielder of the future? Would you rather have him, Harris, and Acuna in the outfield rather than trying to go get somebody else? Would you at least like to try him at left field?
I just feel like with the window that this team has right now, you've worked one rookie in, and he's here to stay.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. He's absolutely the guy.
I don't know if you can live and die with another rookie, though. I think
especially now that Adam Duvall has found his way.
Yeah, so I
appears.
think if they do something else in left, it's got to be a veteran. I don't think it's Drew Waters. Well, and if you're not going to bring him up, might as well move.
Find something to get for him, because right now you got to have a second baseman.
Do you?
You got to have somebody to back up Arcia, because right now you've got a couple of guys who are iffy at best.
I don't know why you can't play Arcia like you would have played Albies, other than the fact that he's not
Do you need a fourth outfielder? Because Ozuna's not it.
No.
He's your DH. No. Could you bring Drew Waters up right now?
No, you can't, because he needs to play.
Yes, so.
Yeah.
Let's take
interesting stuff.
Let's take a trip back in time and talk about the Auburn pitching coach.
Auburn pitching coach Tim Hudson on June 20th, 2011, before he became the Auburn pitching coach. Tim Hudson pitched 8 scoreless innings and launches a 7-inning rocket. You know he played outfield at Auburn as well.
I did know that.
Into the left field stands off Ricky Romero, driving in the game's only 2 runs as the Braves beat the visiting Blue Jays 2-0. Hudson retires 20 straight batters before Mike McCoy draws a walk to lead off the 9th, and Yunel Escobar follows with an infield single. Craig Kimbrell then steps in to strike out the next 3 batters to end the game and earn his 20th save.
A lot of 2-0s in there.
A lot of 2s.
The 20th day in 2011, won 2-0, 20 straight batters, 20th save.
Yep.
That's a lot of 2-0.
Yeah, it would have been a good day to put something on something with 20, huh?
Ain't no doubt. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break as Auburn has scored a run. They still have the bases loaded, still 1 out in the top of the 6th, and Tigers threatening here.
Big time.
We'll talk to George Plaster on the other side of the break. Stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint, is back after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in. Main Street Sports Today presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton. JP Plant, as the Auburn Tigers have now taken a lead on a bases clearing double there with an exit velo of 103 off the top of the left center fence. Auburn now leads Stanford 4-2 in the top of the sixth. So look out, SEC. SEC.
They'll probably get tired of that chant in Omaha here before long.
Oh, gosh. No kidding. As we end our Braves segment, and there's no question we're going to, at some point in this segment, the Braves segment will continue.
We have not ended our Braves segment.
No, we have not. Because we have the Godfather himself, George Plaster, joining us now. We're going to talk a little bit about the Preds, but George, we salvaged one yesterday.
Yeah, and they needed to. They had run into some stuff Friday and Saturday. The wind was blowing in at Wrigley, and some balls that probably would have gotten out didn't. And you know what? That's off to the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, a team that had lost 10 straight coming in there, they found a way to get a couple from the hottest team in baseball. And like you said, you just got to tip your hat to them. And thank goodness for Ian Anderson, and thank goodness the offense kind of thawed out a little bit yesterday for a 6-0 victory to try to get a little momentum as you come home for 7.
It's funny you said thawed out, because I have a friend who was at the game and was like, I did not expect to be freezing in mid-June at a baseball game.
At Wrigley?
That was not my...
Were they under the roof?
They were under the roof.
There you go. Because I went to a game in August, first time I'd been to Wrigley, and if you're under the roof in that wind off Lake Michigan, it's not fun. That was probably as close as I've ever come to leaving a game before it was over.
Oh, wow. George?
I've left a few before they were over.
Yes, you have. Famously, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough to live down, George.
You know, Mo, a couple of days later, I asked my dad, I said something complaining, about, why am I catching all this crap? And my dad was still alive at the time, and he said, the fact that anybody cares where you go or when you go, you ought to thank your lucky stars that anybody even cares.
There you go.
There you go. Your dad,
I've always remembered that.
Your dad keeping you grounded, huh?
Oh, my goodness. I miss him. Sure thought about him some yesterday on Father's Day.
George, as Chris was saying, wanted to kind of talk to you, catch up with you during the final game of the NBA Finals on Thursday night. Word started to trickle out about a upcoming change in the Nashville Predators ownership, and we discussed it a little on Friday. We had Steve Lehman and Joe Rixrode both on the show, but as this starts to develop, and as the Predators finally put something out, I think Friday evening, regarding the situation, what's your read on that?
First of all, I know that Herb Fritch had some health concerns a couple of years ago, and he had become, I think they use the word governor, the lead owner, if you will. And my guess is that he started kind of looking around. I guess maybe I should have caught this a few months ago, because at the Pecorine retirement luncheon, I went up to talk to Herb, and Haslam, who I've never met, was sitting next to him. And, I now have a pretty good idea that this had been going on for a good while, and they were able to keep it quiet. Hats off to them for being able to pull that off. I don't pretend to know what Sportico is, but they got part of the story correct. They had a few little numbers errors. This group paid $192 million to buy it, and the Preds don't average 18.4 per game. The place holds 17, but they got the meat and potatoes of it right. That
Hey, George,
something was going on.
George,
yeah,
never let the facts stand in the way of a good story.
I've used that before, Mo, and that's touche. Well done.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So, my first thought is this got a totally different feel than 15 years ago. I knew the minute I got wind of that story 15 years ago, I knew we were in trouble, that there was a real shot that a Canadian, wasn't coming down here to fall in love with Nashville. And of course, 2 days later, a woman called me on the show, and I went absolutely berserk and just said, let's dry up the tears and realize we're at war to keep this team. And a day later, I committed to something I had no clue what I was getting into, but it turned out to be one of the most rewarding things I've ever been involved in.
Well, for those who may be new and don't know, the Nashville Predators were not necessarily up for sale, but they were on the verge of being sold in
kind of a hostile takeover, if you will,
in the mid 2000s. And George Plaster led, for all intents and purposes, led the charge to save the Nashville Predators. And thank God he did, because again, they have been such an integral part of the city becoming the it city it is for the last 5 to 7 years. That Stanley Cup run was just, it was such a vital part of the fabric of this city at this point. And so, you don't feel like this has any inklings of anything like that coming this time. So what you're saying is the Predators aren't moving to Cleveland.
Don't think so. This guy's got very deep pockets. Mo, he probably travels in some different circles than you and I do, because I read that he's worth something like $2.5 billion. The story of how that group cobbled together $192 million is a 30 for 30 kind of story. Ralph Schultz, who runs the Chamber, he's never quite said this to me, but I think he is the one ultimately that put that whole group together, because they didn't know each other. They all had sort of a common interest of trying to do something good for the city. And I've always believed that if that team had left, the arena would have become a white elephant. And some of the things that, you know, some of downtown's growth, I don't think would have happened had that not gone on. And, you know, that group deserves so much credit for stepping up. And whatever Ralph's role was in putting them together, man, kudos to him as well.
You know, it is, for anyone who's been in the sports world and understands the Haslam name and sports ownership, this has to feel different than, you know, what Jimmy has done necessarily in Cleveland. You don't feel like this is going to be a negative for the Predators or this organization, but does this have some sort of effect on the front office staff in the near future?
I don't think so. You know, I'm guessing you're referring to Sean Henry. I mean, I would assume that Haslam has looked around and realized that under Sean's leadership, and before that, Sean and I can't think of him now, Jeff. Help me here, Mo. I'm forgetting a name.
You got me.
I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, when those two were hired, Jeff Kogan and Sean Henry, I believe they were the missing piece that took that franchise from the 12, 13, 14,000 a game up to where it's been in recent years, which is a lot closer to sellouts every night. I can't imagine that, you know, he would want that to go away. I would be absolutely shocked.
I think, George, that the reference may not be as much to the Henry Kogan situation as to maybe the next rung down, where you find your 72-year-old general manager who's been in place since the team's inception.
Well, look, I'll never criticize the ownership group because, number one, they made the Our Team Nashville group look good. They stepped up and ponied all the money. Now, if I had been part of that group, I would have, you know, and I've gone on the record on this, I would have called David Poyle in before the trade deadline and said, where are we on Philip Forsberg? And the answer that I think I would have gotten would have required me to say, okay, you need to let Forsberg know that either this deal gets done by X date or we're moving him. We don't have the luxury to let him just walk. Well, they didn't do that. They've given him all the leverage. I hope I'm wrong. I think he's gone. I know the big rumor right now is Calgary, and I think you're going to see the fan base as irate as you have seen them in a long time. And ultimately, I think what's going to happen is that Poyle gets kicked upstairs into sort of a Pat Riley, you know, kind of role like Riley has with the Heat. And, you know, that's just part of being a general manager. David Poyle is a wonderful human being. They don't get any better, any finer than him. But the truth of it is he hasn't had a very good 3 years, and a lot of what ails them right now, he's responsible for. And if Forsberg leaves, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's going to, then I think they've got to kick Poyle upstairs.
And wasn't there something over the weekend, George, about Barry Trotz possibly coming back in some sort of front office capacity?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot. Trotz has bought a house here that got out, I think, I want to say it was the Nashville Post that
Who
reported
hasn't,
that
though?
here in the last. Yeah,
Everybody's got a house in Nashville.
Here's the thing. I don't doubt that Barry Trotz has gotten tired of the way he's been treated. Guy went the Stanley Cup in Washington and, was treated like some sort of a disease. Then he goes to the Islanders where he didn't do a half bad job up there. And, in the final year of it, they part ways. They fire him. I don't blame him for wanting a little more security than that. And right now, that might not be a bad move for this franchise. Now, I think it would lead to a lot of the first time, things don't go well is John Hines looking over his shoulder.
100%.
At maybe Barry Trotz becoming the coach. I don't know. I know that he was incredibly popular when he was here. It's hard not to like Barry Trotz. If you don't like him, you're probably the issue, not him. And the other thing was, he's a pretty darn good coach.
That's the thing. Of course, having a lot of nice guys isn't always the best thing, but it does seem to be an issue here in Nashville sometimes. But it's interesting. I think Barry would be a fantastic addition to the organization, no matter what capacity he's in. The guy's a great hockey mind, and I think he would certainly be a great asset to this franchise. So if he's here in Nashville and we're not trying to get him somewhere, we're doing something wrong. But
here's what we don't know is, does this thing that went, looks like it went down late last week, does that hinder that possibility? Does it help it? Does it hinder the Forsberg thing? Does it help it? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't pretend to know, but I do know this. If Forsberg stays, that's not the end of what has to happen. David Poile had better have a really good summer of doing whatever it is he's doing, because at the end of the season, it was obvious that they looked like the 16th team out of 16 that got in, and they got swept, and nobody's real happy about that. And losing Forsberg, I think all of a sudden people would start getting a lot more vocal about it.
Okay, and I get the frustration getting swept and all that, but after watching this Colorado team literally just waltz through the playoffs, I'm not real sure that we can put a whole lot of stock into that sweep. I mean, this Colorado team has looked like an absolute juggernaut. So there's that.
Chris, nobody thought this team was going to win a Stanley Cup.
Sure.
But they are within a final game at Arizona of not having to deal with Colorado for a while.
Sure, I understand.
In all honesty, David Poile saddled John Hines with a goaltender who at the end of the season couldn't stop a beach ball.
That's true.
And that's a big piece of this that you're going to start hearing more about if Forsberg walks. So far, it's been kind of muted because getting to the playoffs is an achievement. But I think Forsberg, if he leaves, it will open up a fan discontent that you have not heard over there in a long time.
Well, especially when you consider some of the folks that they've moved that they didn't hang on to, who were, some
fan favorites, PK and Subban.
Bingo.
I mean, the PK, especially again Calgary, it's frustrating. It really is. So, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, it hadn't been a real good 2 or 3 years for David, and general managers. If you're in it long enough, some of this is going to happen.
Sure.
But
it can't happen at as much as it has.
And it's reached a point where I kind of believe that if Forsberg leaves, that David Poile will not be the general manager much longer.
I also think that if
Did
Matt
I call him Peter Forsberg or Philip?
Forsberg is all we need, but it's funny.
You know what I mean.
Exactly.
We did. If Matt Duchene doesn't have the year he had this year,
He might
David
have been
Poyle
gone
would have been
already.
going well already. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, there was certainly a revival there, and UC was tremendous.
Right.
Let me also say this. Hines overworked UC Soros
Yes.
badly. We all know
Oh.
that. But part of the reason may well have been
He
that
didn't have anywhere else
Poyle-
to go.
David Poyle.
Well, Poyle didn't have him signed to a deal, and he may well have thought he was coaching for his professional life. I don't know.
And he was.
I thought that maybe he was,
He may
maybe he
very well have
wasn't.
been.
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why, because I think he coached scared at the end. He clearly overworked UC Soros. Everybody knew it. But, you know, if I'm Poyle, I would have called him in at some point and said, you know, I don't want to tell you how to coach, but what are you doing? And Hines would have been well within his rights to say, well, you know what? I don't have a contract next year. What do you want me to do?
You want me to throw this guy out there?
So I don't even know that Paul had a basis to have that conversation.
Right. He didn't. So it's that is interesting. That is a side of it that we really haven't dove into on this. But you're right, George. I think, you know, a lot of the Predators' issues, especially late, probably extend to the front office rather than the bench. That's
Yeah,
tough.
and look, I just don't think that it had to be as bad as it turned out at the end, because I think, you know, you had a coach who I think probably felt like, you know, I got to win. I've got to win now, and so he badly overused UC Soros and Riddick. And maybe not to, you know, maybe it's not his fault the way he was used, but at the end, Riddick couldn't stop a beach ball.
Right.
Y'all remember a thing against St. Louis here that got way out of hand, where they scored, I don't know, 7 goals in the second period. And, you know, you could kind of look around and say, this ship is sinking. And, you know, with Soros hurt, they had a goaltender who had no confidence, who had been used in a really erratic manner. I brought this up on the air one day, that why isn't Poyle having this conversation? And if he is Hines telling him, it's because you don't have me signed to a contract. What am I supposed to do?
Absolutely nothing. You've done what you can. So, George, we appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break here, but thank you for taking some time with us and shedding some light. And we won't pack the Mayflower trucks for Cleveland just yet.
We need to remind folks, though, before we let George go. What is it? 3 weeks?
July
11th.
Yeah, July 11th.
4 o'clock. The George Plaster Show debuts on these same airwaves, so to speak.
Yeah, or digital waves or whatever waves they may be.
The interwebs.
That's right.
So be sure and check that out. But
Hey,
again,
Mo, before that happens, there are a couple of little Braves trips scheduled.
of course there are. Yeah.
Well, we will be looking
One of
for
them this Friday night.
we will be looking for your firsthand reports at George Plaster TN on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be some stupid video from the top of Truist Park.
Well, we like your videos, and I want that Birmingham Stallion shirt if you don't.
You know, I gave it to the usher that.
What are you doing? You
that
know,
actually, yeah.
This guy.
I gave it to the usher that filmed it for
It's
us.
almost like you don't even know me, George. It's all right. I'll get over it. I'll live. I'm going to Canton. We'll see you later.
Do your best.
Appreciate it. All right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about something. I mean, we got like 3 minutes left, so we'll quickly get to something.
We'll wrap it up.
We will wrap it up after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
All right, final segment here. Got a couple minutes left. We just mentioned the Avalanche waltzing through the Stanley Cup thus far, but this is not the first time the Lightning have gotten drubbed in a playoff game and then come back home and gotten on the right track, because they got drubbed up in New York against the Rangers, came back home, righted the ship, and took that momentum all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen here, because the Avalanche are a far different and better team than New York.
7-0 leaves a mark.
They got beat 6-0 in New York in Game 2. That's what I'm saying. This is not the first time they've gotten drubbed.
I don't think the Rangers are the Avalanche.
No, and that's what I said. I get that, but they're going back home, and there's something about Tampa Bay that they like. That it's kind of like playing in Nashville in 2017.
They're still the champions too,
and they're the two-time champs.
they can lean heavily on that. To your point, Mo, you're right. I mean, a lot of teams would fold mentally,
but this one won't.
I agree with you, Chris. I don't think this series is far more, because Game 1 overtime. I mean, it's. We saw with the Preds, a different story, but they got drilled and came back and nearly won the next game. Apples and oranges, but still,
I think apples and lug nuts. Thank you. Yeah,
but I think this Tampa Bay team, I think they'll fight back. And have you seen the line?
I have not.
I'm curious.
Let's look it up, because I'm curious if
I don't
Tampa
know if
might even be favored.
I don't think that 7-goal output is going to affect, what things.
1.5 Colorado.
Really?
I just think if the Avs can split,
I just bet on Tampa Bay.
I was going to say, I'd go for Tampa. If Avs are
right there, huh? You just did it, huh?
Did.
There you go.
Wow. If Colorado can split these next two games, they've got 5 and 7 at home. I think it's a done deal.
Oh, I think Colorado's probably going to end up winning this thing, but is it going to be a sweep? No, I don't think so. I would be more surprised if Colorado continues to dominate, because I think Tampa's they've got too much experience, too much talent to just lay down.
100%.
I mean, they're the 2-time defending champs.
Yep. 2-time champs. To beat a man, you got to beat the man.
Uh-huh.
as we just heard, John Cooper, June 30th?
July 31st.
July 31st.
Ric Flair Day in Nashville.
Ric Flair Day in Nashville as his final match.
Love it.
Woo! Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. His final match will be here in Nashville under the Jim Cornette production. So that's right. Hey, Jim Cornette has the most successful wrestling podcast on earth, and it is as entertaining as you might think it would be. You should listen if you have any interest in old school wrestling, 70s, 80s, 90s. If you're not listening to the Jim Cornette podcast, you're missing out because it's full of nuggets and stories and hilarity. And Conrad Thompson is a co-host on it. It's phenomenal.
So is Ric Flair the part of the SummerSlam? Is that right?
No, that was
last. Okay.
Slammiversary was last night, and tonight they're doing the TNA Impact.
Gotcha.
Their Monday night show is being filmed at the fairgrounds tonight.
Fairgrounds, okay.
This is a completely different thing.
Okay, because the Slam was at Nissan Stadium.
I'm a little concerned.
Both at the fairgrounds.
I'm a little concerned that you know this much about this.
I have a lot of friends on Twitter who are wrestling fans.
He just came back from Alabama, Mo. I mean, you can't help it.
Well, I have a lot of friends who care about wrestling, but and I did too back in the 90s, man. It was my favorite thing. Monday night, I had 2 TVs going. You know, I was watching when I was on the phone with my buddy talking about everything going on. Like it was a big deal. But yeah, so Slammiversary was last night.
Did Sheamus win?
No idea. I do.
He's a Nashville guy now. Apparently.
But is he in TNA? I thought he was a.
I don't know. Whatever the see, is there not a wrestling event happening at Nissan Stadium later this summer?
Oh, SummerSlam. Okay, yes.
I'm talking
different thing. That's
time.
WWE.
Big time.
That's
thing.
WWE.
Okay.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet.
No.
And Ric Flair's not going to be a part of that.
No.
Okay. That's what I was ultimately asking.
Gotcha.
My apologies. I didn't know you were going to go to the underground wrestling.
It's not the underground. This is the WCW of the day. This is number 2. Okay, this is number 2.
The G League. My bad.
This is a little bit bigger than that.
Is this AAA?
Let's calm down.
Is this AAA?
Yes.
And I repeat,
this is it's a little bit bigger than Let's Go Underground. This ain't like Lucha Underground or nothing.
it's not in anybody's backyard or anything.
No. I mean, they're wrestling in legit places, and that. Yeah. Anyway.
Again, it kind of concerns me that you know this much about it.
And you listen.
Are we gonna need an intervention here or what?
No, I like that we filter some of this into it.
I'm gonna go to the Ric Flair thing if I can, and I'm gonna try to have somebody on the show to talk a little bit about it because I have contact with the promoter, and I think it's gonna be something unique for the city.
Yeah.
And it's Ric Flair's last match,
Sure.
man. The fact that it's not in Charlotte is a
That's
big deal.
impressive. And I ran into him a couple of times in Charlotte.
So
I mean, I didn't speak to him, but I mean, it was nothing to see Ric Flair.
right, yeah, at the bar.
Yeah,
mostly.
at the bar or at the Penguin, an old staple burger joint. So yeah, absolutely.
Auburn, bottom of the 7th, up 6-2 on Stanford. See if they can hold off and stay alive. So we'll be back tomorrow at 2:00. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll of course have Chip Walters, and we'll talk about a little MTSU. So all of that coming up tomorrow. More Omaha and much more. So stick around for absolutely nothing after us.
For now.
That's right. George Plaster soon. But until then, for JP and Mo, I'm Chris Yao. So have a great day. See you tomorrow.